We ready to roll? Okay. I'm sorry? Good evening. I hereby call the Police Oversight Commission meeting to order on Thursday, August 13th, 2026 at 5:04 p.m. Madam Secretary, please conduct roll.
Commissioner Goronsky.
Here.
Commissioner Mejia. Commissioner Perea.
Here.
Commissioner Said.
Here, thank you.
Commissioner Vega. Vice Chair Castillo-Lawton.
Here.
Chair Carpenter.
Yes.
Records show we have 5 members present. Chair Carpenter, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. If able, will you please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? All righty, next we have the public comment section. This is the time for commission to receive comments from the public. We will not accept any additional requests for speaker cards once we begin public comment sessions. If you have not already, please submit your request to the recording secretary. Speakers will have 3 minutes to speak. Madam Secretary, do we have any public speakers?
At this time, there are 5 in-person speakers. First speaker, Abe Q.
Good afternoon, City Police Oversight Commission members. My name is Abe. I'm a resident of Ward 3, and I also live, I'm a member of CSO Orange County. We're here today to demand that Santa Ana Police Department fire killer cops Luis Casillas and Isaac Ibarra from the department. And we believe, and we want to ask you all for a recommendation to fire these officers on the basis of the investigation for Noe Rodriguez. These officers continue to work for Santa Ana PD despite being involved in multiple misconduct cases and civilian deaths, and they are an objective threat to vulnerable members of our community, including people with mental illnesses and on occasion people who are monolingual Spanish speakers. Or to speak the city staff's language, I'll say that they're a liability to the city. Speaking on Noe Rodriguez, both Luis Casillas and Isaac Ibarra were involved in his death directly. They lied in their post-incident interviews about Noe's actions leading up to the shooting, where he suffered more than a dozen gunshots across his backside. Officers made no attempt to de-escalate or communicate effectively with Noe, again, a monolingual Spanish speaker, and the officers opened fire in less than 30 seconds after arriving on scene. There was a recent Department of Justice report, and although it was very flawed, it still found that the department used excessive force on an incapacitated person because the officers deployed 2 40mm shots on Noe after he was already on the floor. The report also found that officers failed to provide immediate medical attention, and they failed to account for public safety when they unloaded a total of 29 rounds into an unarmed man outside of an apartment building entrance. Henry Gonzalez Jr. was a victim of Luis Casillas just 30 days later on January 1st, 2025. Casillas was responding to another mental health crisis where he ended up shooting and killing Henry Gonzalez Jr. During the incident and on body camera footage, Henry's mother is heard telling officers that her son has suicidal behavior, but Casillas made no attempt to de-escalate the situation. Again, in under 30 seconds, he got out of his cruiser, he closed the distance between himself and Henry Gonzalez Jr., and he shot his weapon, 1 bullet into the head. Dispatch records show that the responding officers still opted to bring in a K-9 unit and a riot shield before providing medical attention, claiming that he still had a threat, he still posed a threat because there was a knife in his right hand after suffering a gunshot wound to the head. Reddy D'Angelo Washington is a victim of Isaac Ibarra. On January 15th, 2025, Isaac Ibarra was coordinating the brutal arrest of a black man who was sitting in a hotel room who was on the phone with his attorney. Freddy was also denied fluids by Ibarra after he had been beaten and restrained by multiple officers. To paint a quick picture for you, this was an instance of several officers rushing one man. They claimed that he was non-compliant to justify their use of violence, and officers in body camera footage can be seen punching Freddy in the head while they pinned him to the floor with their arms and knees and to put him into a full body restraint. He can be heard saying, "I'm not fighting, y'all are fighting me." Residents and community members of Santa Ana are demanding that Luis Casillas and Isaac Ibarra be fired from Santa Ana PD. They pose an objective threat to us and to very vulnerable members of our community.
Speaker, your
Thank
time
you.
is up. Next speaker, David Polito.
Hello, everybody. My name is David Polito. I'm a member of Community Service Organization Orange County. We are here on behalf of the family of Noe Rodriguez to demand the commission make the following recommendations to our police chief, our city manager, and the city council. We want officers Luis Casillas and Isaac Ibarra fired from Santa Ana Police Department. I hope you have all had time to review the recent report by the California Department of Justice on Noe's death. Like the 43 reports that preceded it, this report claimed there was insufficient evidence to criminally prosecute these officers. So the function of the DOJ, clearly, is to exonerate the police, regardless of what they do. But putting that aside, there are several glaring problems with the report that, in my view, obligate this commission to take independent action to actually hold these officers accountable for what they did. So the DOJ report claimed that Luis Casillas and Isaac Ibarra declined to provide statements. However, immediately after the incident, both officers were interviewed by Sergeant Barragan. Their answers were not included in the report. When Officer Isaac Ibarra was asked to describe Noe, he claimed that Noe was waving around a shotgun and he started pointing it in their direction. Ibarra also undercounted the amount of bullets he fired at Noe, claiming he fired approximately 7 rounds when he fired 11, with the last 3 being fired as Noe was collapsing to the ground. As we have stated many times, these claims are directly contradicted by the officer's own body camera footage. Officer Luis Casillas also undercounted the shots he fired, claiming only 14 to 15 bullets when he fired 18 bullets. Notably, that was every single bullet in his gun, and he reloaded when the slide mechanism of his gun showed that it was empty. The following statement was in the report, but it was not properly examined. It said, "Just after shooting Noe, Casillas claimed that he was about to point that thing at me." The body camera footage, the still images from the report, and the report's own statements show that Noe was actually removing one of his hands from the toy gun just before police fired at him. Prior to that, the body camera footage shows Noe was not pointing the gun at anyone. The interpretation of the witness statements included in the report are extremely problematic because they weigh the subjective belief of some of these people and the police over the objective reality of what they were seeing. For example, witness 3 said Noe looked suspicious and was manipulating what she thought was a gun, but she also said she did not see Noe pointing a gun at anyone. Witness 4 is paraphrased as saying he believed Noe was loading a gun based on his movements, but in that same statement, he said that he did not see Noe pointing a gun or at anyone or speaking to anyone. Witness 5 said it looked like Noe was loading or playing with what she thought was a gun, but she also said Noe did not point at the gun at them and she didn't see anyone being pointed at. Witness 7 described Noe as holding the object in an upward position with an outward bend, and we see that in the footage. She absurdly claims he was getting ready to attack. We can just compare that to the footage and see that Noe was simply standing still. In summary, none of the witnesses claimed that Noe was pointing a gun or threatening anyone.
Speaker, your time is up.
We just want these officers fired. As my friend said here, they have killed again, and this commission has the independent power to do something about it. So we urge you to make the right decision and hold these officers accountable. Thank you.
Next speaker, Emma Gottfried.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Emma, and I'm a member of Community Service Organization Orange County's Police Accountability Committee. We're here to continue to demand an independent investigation into the police killing of Jaden Michaka. This commission needs to analyze this and make disciplinary recommendations to our police chief, city manager, and city council. The officers responsible for killing Jaden must be fired from SAPD, and we are also demanding that the commission make recommendations to change Santa Ana PD policy related to mental health. As we've seen time and time again, SAPD consistently fails to evaluate and treat people with mental illness. There has to be clear policies in place that protect people struggling with mental illness and very clear, direct consequences for violating these policies that are actually enforced. Jaden was only 15 years old and suffering from a mental health crisis, and psychiatric teams had previously been called to assist Jaden in previous situations. There's absolutely no reason why they shouldn't have been alerted, why they shouldn't have been involved in this incident, but they weren't. SAPD failed at every level to even try to de-escalate the situation, but Santa Ana PD has shown over and over again that having a mental health crisis is an excuse to ignore policy, to disregard the safety of others, and to shoot first. The policies in place are not working. They're clearly not working. The most vulnerable members of our community cannot be treated this way. Also during this incident, Jaden's mother, Maribel's hand was struck and received potentially disabling injuries during the shooting by the police. And this was happening while she was screaming for the officers not to shoot. This is a complete failure of SAPD's policy. This is not an action of a department trying to protect a family in need of support. In the body cam footage, the officers gave the false statement that they're here to help and then immediately opened fire on their guns after doing nothing else to even try to de-escalate the situation. We've seen how this department's policies also failed Noe Rodriguez when he was having a mental health crisis. We've seen how killer cops like Luis Casillas and Isaac Ibarra are still employed by SAPD. And we've seen how they've continued to go on brutalizing our community. This commission has the power to make disciplinary recommendations for these officers, and that power has to be used, and they need to be fired. And the same for the cops that killed Jada Michaga. Right now, this commission has an obligation and an opportunity to actually protect and serve this community. And you all need to open an investigation into Jaden's case and to make a recommendation that those officers are fired and make recommendations to change SAPD policy regarding mental health. Enough's enough. Justice for Jaden Michaga and justice for Noe Rodriguez.
Next speaker, Matthew Compton.
All right, hello, my name is Matt, and I'm here with Community Service Organization, Orange County. I'm here to demand justice for Noe Rodriguez and for killer cops Luis Casillas and Isaac Ibarra be held accountable for their actions. When Noe was killed back on December 1st, 2024, both Luis and Isaac completely failed to de-escalate or even attempt de-escalation tactics. Tactics like forming a perimeter around Noe or trying to reason with Noe. In fact, within seconds of arriving on scene, both Luis and Isaac opened fired. Luis shooting at Noe 18 times and Isaac shooting 11 times. They didn't allow enough time to properly assess the situation or even try to save his life. Noe was having a mental health crisis. Both officers failed to take this into consideration and failed to give Noe proper medical attention that could have saved his life. This isn't the first time both Luis and Isaac failed. Casillas on January 1st, 2025, just 1 month after killing Noe, shot Henry Gonzalez Jr. in the head, killing him. On June 9th, 2025, Casillas was involved in a brutal beating and arrest of a 15-year-old named Mario Diaz. Ibarra was involved in the January 15th, 2025 brutal arrest of unarmed Freddie Washington. Freddie later died in custody. Importantly, the recent DOJ report that came out on Noe's case fails to even take this failure of both Casillas and Ibarra into consideration. The report fails to mention or consider the fact that SAPD as a whole has a long and consistent history of failing to de-escalate situations and a failure at even attempting de-escalating tactics. The report also fails to assess the fact that Noe was having a mental health crisis and that a proper mental health response was not given. The wife of Noe even feels this report by the DOJ was done in collaboration with SAPD and willingly accepts SAPD's blatant lies and false narratives, despite the DOJ investigation supposedly being an authority over SAPD. We see this time and time again with SAPD with cases like Freddie Washington, Henry Gonzalez Jr., and most recently Jaden Michaga, where the officers involved failed to assess the situation and failed those having a mental health crisis. Instead, they decide to take people's lives instead of trying to help them. Officers who failed those having mental health crises should be held accountable. This commission has that power. We demand that this commission take action against killer cops Luis Casillas and Isaac Ibarra, as well as the officers who killed 15-year-old Jada Michaca. Thank you.
Next speaker, Stephanie.
Hello, Commissioners and Director of this Commission. I am Stephanie. I'm here with CSO OC again as part of our Police Accountability Committee to talk about the case of Noe Rodriguez. As my fellow committee members have already shared, there is a grave inconsistency between what the public expects and deserves from the police who are meant to serve them and what happened in that case that led to the tragic death of Noe Rodriguez. Not only that, but major inconsistencies with what the officers reported and what actually happened. These inconsistencies can only reflect what the public in the city of Santa Ana already knows. That police officers can act with impunity and face no repercussions for major harm against this community. We also know that this case is not an outlier. What seems like just one day at work for a couple of officers is actually a lifetime of pain and suffering for members in this community. This community is left with open wounds and fear despite the supposed intentions of the police. What we want and what we need is for the safety and lives of every member of this community, whether struggling with mental illness, poverty, or any other crisis, to be taken seriously. The distrust has already been sown, and we do not expect the Commission to take away these harms, but rather to begin to do right by this community and help improve the conditions and fear that exist. We want to emphasize that every instance of someone's lives being in the hands of the police should be treated with care and respect of the people in our communities. These officers did not do that, and they continue to act without care or respect, knowing that they will come out unscathed. That is why this commission has a responsibility to act and begin to help our community regain confidence by recommending policy changes so that police are not allowed to lie or manufacture circumstances to try to justify unjust actions, and so that they are not allowed to take lives without thought or care. We demand that these officers be fired from the force, and we demand justice for Noe Rodriguez and Freddie Washington and Jada Michaca and countless others that have been killed at the hands of SAPD. Thank you.
Chair, that concludes the public speakers.
Thank you. All righty, now we move on to consent calendar. Items number 1 and 2. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Yes.
Can I get a second, please? Thank you.
Motion by Commissioner Said, second by Commissioner Gavronsky, to approve items number 1 through 2 of the consent calendar. Commissioner Gavronsky? Oh, it's the roll call. Commissioner Gavronsky? Commissioner Perea?
Yes.
Commissioner Said?
Yes, thank you.
Vice Chair Castillo-Lawton?
Yes.
Chair Carpenter?
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 nays. Motion carries.
Thank you. That's the end of the consent calendar. We will now recess this portion of the meeting to consider item number 3 listed on the business calendar at 5:22 p.m. All righty, I hereby reconvene the Police Oversight Commission meeting to order at 6:13 PM. Mr. Assistant City Attorney, do you have anything to report out of closed session? Thank you. Next on the agenda is the business calendar. Item number 4 pertains to the Police Oversight Commission Annual Report, fiscal year 2025 to 2026. May we have a staff report?
Director Jack Morse will give a presentation on the report that was prepared for the activities of 2025 and 26. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. So I'm going to provide you with an overview of the draft report for the most recent fiscal year that just ended. A copy of that report was included in the agenda, so I'll just touch on some primary points included in the report. So just for a little bit of background information, so this report is required by the municipal code that establishes the Police Oversight Commission. It basically says that the commission must submit an annual report to City Council regarding the commission's activities, findings, and recommendations. And it must include, at a minimum, a list of multiple things: number of complaints filed and the nature of the allegations, the number of investigations initiated during the reporting period and the nature of those allegations, the number of investigations that were concluded during the reporting period, the number of investigations that are pending at the end of the reporting period, the number of complaints that were sustained or not sustained, the number of disciplinary recommendations that were made, and the number of complaints referred to other agencies. The report must also include the reports or recommendations submitted to the City Council, the City Manager, or the Police Chief regarding Commission regulations, legislation, or budgetary allocation, as well as any recommendations made regarding policies, procedures, customs, orders, collective bargaining agreements, programs, and training. The report must also include any response that the Commission received from the City Manager, City Council, or the Police Chief. So for this report covers the most recent fiscal year, so that's June 2025 to July 2026. I came on board July 1st of 2025, so it just so happens that my appointment aligns with the fiscal year. So everything in the report is pretty much constrained to those 12 months primarily, though I did include, because I was appointed in sort of mid-year, as you may recall, I did go back and look at some previous complaints that were filed before I came on board, and so I did include those in the report as well, just for context. Now, as a reminder, under the Commission is authorized to instruct the Director to investigate 10 different categories of complaints, and there's only 9 bullet points here. I did double up on one of them, but the 10 categories that I can investigate are officer-involved shootings and in-custody deaths. That's actually 2 different things. Force that results in great bodily injury, prejudice or discrimination, dishonesty, sexual assault, unlawful arrest and unlawful search, unreasonable or excessive force, failure to intervene when another officer uses excessive force, and an officer's interference with the community member's First Amendment activities. So again, in the report, I do include a look back at 6 months worth of complaints that were filed before I came on board. Again, it's technically outside the reporting period because it falls outside of this most recent fiscal year, but I did include them for context. So during that 6-month period from January 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2025, there were a total of 21 complaints. 7 of these fell within the Commission's authority to review. 7 dealt with SAPD. There were allegations against SAPD officers, but they fell outside of the commission's authority to review. Maybe they were complaining that an officer was rude. Maybe they were complaining that they got a traffic ticket and they didn't deserve it. For whatever reason, 7 of those complaints did not qualify for a review, even though they were filed against SAPD officers. 4 of the complaints were filed regarding agencies other than SAPD. And with 3 of the complaints, it was unclear exactly what agency they were complaining about, but it did not appear to be the Santa Ana Police Department. So this chart provides some more detail, and this chart is replicated in the draft report that you have. But this is a breakdown of the 7 complaints filed that fell within your authority to direct me to investigate. Now, you'll notice there are a total of 9 allegations here, even though there were only 7 complaints. A couple of the complaints included more than 1 allegation, so I broke them out per allegation. So 9 total allegations. 1 was use of force resulting in great bodily injury, 1 alleging prejudice or discrimination, 1 dishonesty, 3 alleging unlawful arrest or search, and 3 alleging unreasonable or excessive force. No investigations were approved, no investigations were completed, and there were no investigations pending at the end of that 6-month period. In terms of those 14 complaints that were filed that didn't fall within your authority to direct me to investigate, again, 7 were regarding the Santa Ana Police Department, but fell outside of those 10 categories within your purview. 4 of them were regarding other agencies, and 3 were regarding, 3 of them, it was unclear what agency was being complained about. Of those 4 regarding other agencies, 3 were regarding the Orange County Sheriff's Department, and 1, for some reason, was about the Oregon Police, Oregon State Police. I don't know how it ended up here. All right, so now we'll move on to this most recent fiscal year that the report is required to cover. So we'll look at a breakdown of complaints filed from July 1st of 2025 to June 30th of 2026. So during that reporting period, 46 total complaints were filed. 10 of those were within your purview to review. 27 were regarding SAPD, but outside your authority. 8 were regarding agencies other than SAPD. And for 1 of them, it was unclear what agency was being complained of. And again, this is a breakdown of those complaints that fell within your authority. Again, there were only 10 complaints, but a number of them contain multiple allegations. So you'll see there, even though there were 10 complaints filed within your authority, that amounted to a total of 16 allegations. So 1 was an officer-involved shooting, 3 regarded prejudice or discrimination, 4 dishonesty complaints, 4 regarding unlawful arrest or search, 4 regarding unreasonable force. That all adds up to 16. 1 complaint was approved for investigation. Now, this 1 complaint contained 2 allegations. 1, it alleged that the force used was unreasonable or excessive, and it also alleged that officers had been dishonest. So that 1 complaint was approved. That includes 2 allegations. No investigations were completed during the fiscal year, and so at the end of the fiscal year, that 1 investigation is still pending, and it is covering 2 separate allegations. In terms of complaints filed outside of your authority, 27 were regarding SAPD, but were not included in those 10 categories that your authority covers. 8 were regarding agencies other than SAPD, and again, 1, it was unclear what agency was complained of. Of those 8 involving agencies other than SAPD, 1 was CHP, 1 was DHS, we had Fountain Valley Police, 2 regarding OCSD, 1 Pasadena Police, and 2 complaints were about the Tustin Police Department. And whenever I get a complaint alleging allegations regarding officers at other agencies, I will respond to the complainant via email, let them know that your authority is only limited to SAPD, and suggest that they may contact the relevant agency in question if they want to pursue their complaint with that agency. All right, so as I mentioned, the commission authorized the director to investigate one complaint. That's an officer-involved shooting. Again, the complainant alleged that the shooting was unjustified and that the involved officers were subsequently dishonest. During that reporting period, that incident remained under review by criminal investigators. Now, as you may recall, under the Public Safety Officer's Bill of Rights, when a person with authority to investigate a complaint becomes aware of that allegation, a one-year time frame begins within which that investigation must be completed, and the officers must be informed of any disciplinary action. Now, that time clock is stopped when there's a criminal investigation that is ongoing, and that's the case that we had here. So during this entire reporting period, up until June 30th, that incident was under investigation by criminal investigators. So the administrative investigation did not move forward. Thus, it remained pending at the end of the reporting period. The commission is also authorized to direct the director to review policies, and once you have those recommendations, you can forward those to the city manager, as you know. So the report covers the work that you completed in that regard. So just as a reminder, so under the municipal code, the commission is authorized to review, evaluate, and make recommendations regarding the department's policies, procedures, and practices. And similarly, you may instruct the director to review policies to ensure best practices are implemented. There were 2 policies during the reporting period for which you completed your review. You finalized comments and you sent those to the city manager. That was procedure 4130 regarding the U-Visa certification process, and policy 707 regarding military equipment. So just sort of a brief overview of each. As you may recall, the U-Visa certification process dictates the guidance for officers who are certifying a immigrant crime victim's U-Visa application. A portion of that is conducted by a law enforcement agency, here obviously SAPD. So revisions to that procedure include several, 3 of them. One, the revised policy clarifies the role of SAPD members as part of the U-Visa certification process. Who is doing what exactly? Much of it emanates from CID. The revised policy includes factors to consider when determining whether a victim's refusal to assist law enforcement was reasonable, and it establishes a time frame within which applications must be processed. Those recommendations were submitted to the city manager, and they were approved on February 5th of 2026. That revised procedure is in place now, and you can see it, the revised procedure is in place on SAPD's website. The second policy for which the commission delivered comments to the city manager was policy 707 regarding military equipment. The military equipment policy provides an inventory of SAPD's military equipment, training requirements, authorized uses, and mechanisms for reporting violations. Revisions include several, 3 of which are included on this slide. One, so as part of the SAPD's reporting requirements, it must post publicly an annual report showing that the military equipment, showing uses of the military equipment over the reporting period. The revised policy makes clear that the report must include information showing that the policy safeguards the public's welfare, safety, and civil liberties. It includes information on how members of the public may submit complaints about the use of military equipment, and it specifies the chief's role in ensuring that the department's use of military equipment complies with policy. The city manager approved those recommendations on May 26th of 2026, and that revised policy is also active, and a copy of it may be viewed on the police department's website. The commission also undertook the review of a number of other policies. Those review processes are still in progress, but the report does provide an overview of each of those policies and sort of current status of where they're at. So the policies that the commission undertook to review and are still in progress include policy 606 regarding the use of unmanned aerial systems or drones, policy 311 regarding search and seizure, and various policies related to AB 48. And as you may recall, AB 48 dictates the use of kinetic energy projectiles, such as rubber bullets, and chemical agents, such as OC spray. The policies that fall under that AB 48 umbrella include 303 regarding control devices or less lethal weapons, 429 regarding First Amendment assemblies and crowd control in that context, and procedure 3004 regarding use of the 40 millimeter less lethal weapon. In addition to policy review and reviewing complaints, the commission engaged in a number of other activities, much of which was just to inform the commission and your own knowledge of police department protocols and procedures. So the commission received a presentation from SAPD on vehicle pursuits and the applicable processes and protocols. You received that presentation on October 9th of 2025. At the time, the commission requested additional data regarding SAPD vehicle pursuits over a given time period, January 2022 to November of 2025. I presented that information on January 8th of this year. That data included information such as the following. There were 313 pursuits that occurred during that time frame from January 2022 to November 2025. 30% of those involved traffic collisions. Officers deployed a tire deflation device 10 times of those 313 pursuits, and officers never utilized ramming techniques or roadblocks to end a pursuit. The commission also received a presentation from SAPD on policy 413 regarding immigration violations. The policy generally describes guidelines regarding interactions between SAPD officers and federal immigration authorities, as well as protections for victims and witnesses. That presentation was November 13th. At the time, the commission requested more information regarding criminal versus civil immigration violations, and that information will be provided at a later POC meeting. As you know, the commission also adopted new bylaws during the reporting period. Those bylaws were adopted October 9th of 2025. Those bylaws address issues such as the following: commission structure and officers, meeting regulations, attendance and member conduct, voting and agenda procedures, public hearing protocols, and authority and bylaw amendments. Last thing that the report covers is the budget. So as you know, the Oversight Director has a budget of $250,000 over 2 years. That's $125,000 per year. That 2-year time block ends on June 30th of 2027. So we've got one more fiscal year remaining. During the first fiscal year, the Oversight Director expended $142,710. So the amount, that's $17,710 over budget. So the amount remaining for the current fiscal year that we're now in is $107,290. And here's a breakdown of monthly expenses. You can find this chart in the report as well, but that just gives you a monthly breakout of invoices. And as you know, that work is reviewing policies, reviewing complaints, attending POC meetings, things of that nature. That concludes this report, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. All righty. We'll do 5 minutes each, 2 rounds, and please confine your first 5 minutes to questions and keep your comments for the second 5 minutes, please. And we'll start with Commissioner Pereira.
Thank you, Chair Carpenter, and thank you, Director Morse, for providing us with the draft for this report. Looking forward. First of all, I'm really glad that we have our first report out. I do want to have two main comments. The first one is Commissioner Mejia did submit a public comment regarding her suggestion to break down not just the aggregate number of complaints, but also break it down by its complaint number and the outcome of the closed session. I think that that will be just helpful, just to outline which ones had no actions, which ones had more information, and which ones were led to an investigation. So if we can incorporate that into the report to the extent that is possible. The second comment that I have is actually regarding the budget. So I did notice that the first, for this last fiscal year, there was a total of $142,000, and you have $107,000 left for the 2026, 2027. Director Morse, are you going to have enough funds?
That depends on how much work you give me to do.
I do have, well, we're just discussion, right? No questions right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I do have a question for the process. Once we hit the limit of the budget, what's next? What's the process to request additional funds?
That I don't know. I don't know what this city.
We can assess the budgets at every quarter that comes up to see if there is a need, and that would be something that would go to City Council for consideration.
So it will have to be like a special approval from City Council?
City Council authorizes the city budget, so yes, any allocations for the contract would go through the City Council.
Okay.
And I can provide more clarity on that as well. So Director Morse's agreement was approved by City Council because for professional services agreements that exceed $50,000, it has to go to City Council for approval. By way of the City Council approving that, only the City Council can now amend that. And what you would need to do is you would need, an amendment would need to be presented to City Council to increase those funds. I can tell you just operationally, understanding how our agreements work and how our professional service contractors or consultants are paid, is that from an operational standpoint, the moment Director Morse's contract is exceeded, finance will not cut any more checks for the services unless an amendment is made to expand the amount of monies that are allocated to the contract. So operationally, when that number's hit, finance won't cut checks for the invoices, and so that's the kind of where the process would end, subject to council action.
So from my understanding, because there will be quarterly reviews, then we will be notified by the city manager, or at least the city manager will try to notify the City Council?
That's correct. We'll work with Director Morse to see where he is and what he anticipates. And if there does seem to be a need in funding, then that is definitely something we could propose.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure that we don't have a gap in the commission, and you know what will happen then. Those are all my questions, and also my suggestions for the report.
Commissioner Syed.
Thank you for putting the report together. It's really nice to see everything we've been able to do summarized in a report. So first of all, thank you. My comment was also the budget. So I'm typically fiscally conservative. If just an idea, so we can see how we can budget with the $250 we currently have. In my head, the calculation is anywhere from $10,000 to $11,000 of work per month if we're gonna stick under the $250 or at the $250. Some of the months we've been able to do that. Others we doubled. Do you have an idea, for example, what the difference is in January and February? I just don't remember what we asked.
Commissioner, I would have to go back and look at those invoices, and I haven't done that sort of deep dive to be able to answer that question.
I think from my perspective, if we can stay within our budget and get the most work done. So maximum work, least amount of cost to the residents of Santa Ana, that would be my preference. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair?
I have a couple of questions. One relates to the comment by Commissioner Pereira and by Commissioner Mejia about the line-by-line reporting for individual complaints. Is that something that we can permissibly include in a report, given that they would reveal conversations that we've had in closed session? Maybe it is, but I would be curious to know that.
Correct. Thank you, Vice Chair. I am happy that you brought that up. And so as I sit here right now, I cannot answer that question. I need to conduct some actual legal analysis and dig into it. So I preface it that way because if we're in a position to approve this report, but for maybe that one thing, I just want the commission to understand that that could be delaying the report by an additional month for me to conduct that analysis, because I'm not comfortable saying one way or another that we can or we can't do it.
And I think something to think about, sorry, in that regard is, I think that information is already included. Now, it's not broken out line by line by line, but even if you break it out line by line, that's just going to associate a complaint number with the outcome. It's not going to include any detail regarding those investigations because you can't include that in a public report. So it's up to the commission, but I don't know how much value breaking out each complaint and the result line by line like that is going to offer. The report now makes clear that one investigation was approved. So the line items would just be, 46 lines of don't investigate and one line of investigate.
I guess my response there would just be that it would potentially give people clarity. I don't know what the process looks like for somebody that submits a complaint. Like, do they get a complaint number that they can cross-reference with the complaint that we evaluate in a closed session? Presumably, if we include that information, it would at least give people an idea of where their complaint has gone. Like, are we looking into it? Did we decide not to look into it, et cetera? And that's why I bring up the closed session concerns, because those are technically decisions that we made in closed session. I don't know if we can disclose that stuff.
So, Commissioner, so the complainants themselves do know the status of their complaint. So whenever a complaint comes in, I email that complainant, and if it's clear on the face of the complaint that it doesn't regard SAPD or it's outside POC authority, I say that in my responsive email. If it falls within the commission's authority, I will notify them that their complaint will be discussed in closed session. If after closed session, it comes back to closed session, I'll notify the complainant of that action. And if then the commission eventually decides not to investigate that, I will inform the complainant that the commission can't investigate every complaint due to limited resources, et cetera. And so their complaint won't be investigated by the commission, but per the SAEMC, every complaint is investigated by Internal Affairs, and I let them know that IA will be investigating their, or be looking into or addressing their complaint.
What about if we decide to take action on a complaint? Do you notify the complainant about that? Like if we're going to investigate further or whatever?
Yes.
Okay. And it's like there's an issue, but okay, thank you. The other question that I had is about the budget. I know that obviously we're running out of budget and everything. And I don't know if this is something that we've explored, but just from a budgetary standpoint, have we explored like alternative arrangements to help the commission fulfill its function? I'm just thinking like maybe a pro bono arrangement with a law firm or something like that. Seems like there might be law firms in the area that might be interested in, giving back, giving some of their resources to help a commission with a public mission like ours. I'm just kind of thinking out loud, but is that something that we've considered, or is that even possible?
That is not something that we've considered. Currently, we have this in-house like we do other commissions. We don't really typically contract out that type of work. Now, we do have JD who recently joined the team, and he has been helping Director Morse. That helps keep costs down because he can provide the administrative support needed and it can support our director in his roles. So those are where you can see that there might have been some cost savings more recently.
And I personally don't know many law firms that have expertise in police oversight that do that work for free.
I was just thinking, like, if there are research questions, things like that, that you might be looking into, that's something that maybe a pro bono team at a big firm around the area could potentially help with. I don't know. I'm just kind of, like I said, I'm just thinking out loud. So thank you. And that's it for me.
Commissioner Gronski?
Yes, thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you to our director, Morris, Jack Morris. That's a lot of meticulous work that you did. I know I've done things like that too, and it takes forever and a lot of concentration. I agree with Commissioner Said. I don't believe in drawing things out. And I think the longer you draw a problem, I'm not saying you yourself are doing it, but within the city, drawing things out so long, it just goes on and on and on and never gets solved, or it costs a lot of money to continue with it. I believe in face it, do it, and get over with it. That's the way I run my life. If there's a problem, okay, let's do it and let's get it over with so we can relax after that and get it taken care of. That's the way I think the city should be doing things too. And if you need any help, I'm willing to help you too. If you need any volunteer work or anything like that, to help you with anything. But anyway, thank you for all your work that you did. I know that's a lot of work, numbers. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, again, I've got questions on the budget. Considering that you have one investigation to do, is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you foresee that $107,290 is sufficient?
Certainly for that investigation, yes. I don't anticipate that a single investigation will consume the rest of the budget.
All righty, so that's hoping we have no other ones that require investigation, correct? Right now, you're content with what you have. Plus, this is going to get excuse me, the budget's going to get eaten up by a meeting you attend, correct?
That's right, Chair. And in terms of an estimate for how much the investigation work will cost, I don't know yet. I don't yet have the entire universe of evidence that I expect to receive that is applicable to that investigation. So it's hard to come up with an estimate at this point as to how long that review and investigation will take. Once I have that, I can let the commission know. And as the chair knows, there are a number of other pending projects ongoing. I think there are 5 policies that are currently under review. So right now, 6, I would say, major projects ongoing.
So what I'm hearing is you're going to run out of money.
I don't know. I haven't done an estimate as to how long each policy review will take.
Yeah.
So I don't know the answer to your question.
Okay.
Chair, at this point.
All righty. The other question too is, are there any items that you do that are outside your billing that you would, like Commissioner Syed question about individual items? Everything you do for this commission is billed, correct?
Correct.
Regardless what the question is. Well, I mean, whether a policy review or reviewing any kind of information, you're billing, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all righty. Well, that's it for me. Commissioner Prayer, any further questions?
No question, but additional comment. I do, and thank you for clarifying, Director Morse. I do feel strongly about just desegregating the data and including it by case, nothing that identifies a specific case, and also, what type of action, if any, was taken, no action, further information, or investigation. I think it's an important, for me, and another important data point for the public. You know, when you open the report, you see just a bunch of zeros, right?
And that's essentially what the line item breakout would be as well.
Yeah.
Yes, a bunch of zeros.
Yeah. So I just would like just like additional, I know there's a lot of people out there that look at data, and then, you know, everything matters for those that do look at that. And then the second question regarding budget, I think this is 2025 to 2026 was kind of like a sample in terms of what this commission essentially needs in terms of resources. Obviously, we're entering this new other fiscal year where we'll see how actually investigating a complaint, how much it will cost. I don't think that the city council truly consider the true cost of actually the resources that this commission will need. So I'm just looking to see how this will play out over the next year. So hopefully I proponent that it's better that we're more resource than under-resourced, or trying to, so we don't get to a point where we start making decisions about whether or not to proceed with things just because we don't have a budget. I think that will be more detrimental for us. Those are all my comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Said?
Thank you. I think the contention in my mind right now is we have an obligation to the residents in two ways: to be financially responsible and to bring more cohesion between the police officers and the residents. So I'm a budget queen, and anything that you need help with, just let me know. And I know we have our analysts too. So for example, the request to break down whether we requested further information and then ultimately said no, or because sometimes we request further information and then the vote ends after we see something. So I don't know if it would be broken down that way, because it wouldn't.
I think it would be hard to go back and ferret out that sort of granular detail. Okay. So when I invoice, I may invoice 4 hours or 3 hours for attending closed and open session POC meeting. I won't break it out, 38 minutes discussing one complaint, 48 minutes discussing another complaint. I don't get into that kind of detail.
I think my question, sorry, I'm not asking it clearly. So the request to break down the line items, rather than say that we reviewed 46 and one sort of moved on, instead of having a bunch more zeros if we break it down, could we break it down to say we requested further information on X and then leave it at that?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Instead of you investing more time cutting into the budget, we can have our analyst just say which complaints had further information, because all but one stopped, but some we obviously requested more information on.
And are you thinking that those numbers would be broken out by complaint number, or just there were 13 complaints where the commission requested more information?
My preference is whatever is most budget friendly. Mm-hmm. So if our analyst can do either way and it doesn't matter, I don't have a preference. If it's going to cost the city more by breaking it down, then I don't want it.
I think there's an important caveat just to mention, and that is I do believe that the analyst can absolutely perform that function, and the analyst is already performing. DJ is already performing a lot of functions behind the scenes that Jack or his staff might otherwise have taken on, but we brought a lot of this in-house, and DJ's handling those amazingly, I might add. I just want to bring up that I still am reserving the right to legally conduct some sort of analysis into whether it would be permissible to have that further layer of detail, shedding light in a sense on what the discussions were in closed session. So
Agreed.
To the extent that that analysis comes back with we can, then absolutely DJ could perform that function.
Agreed. And then my other thing is, so not to make you do more work, and I really don't want you doing more work, But I think for purposes of us, because we're so new and we're still trying to establish what's effective or not, if we could see the billing in January, if possible, versus February, so we can see how we can be more effective in our requests to you. I think January, if I remember, it was a lot of U visa requests. Maybe I'm not remembering it correctly, but I'd like to use all of our time and taxpayer dollars in the most effective way we can.
Some of that information may be public record that we can just redact, and that's something that DJ can present. My question would be, is it something that you want to see, or is it something that you want brought back to the commission?
Whatever the majority wants, I don't mind either way.
Do we need a vote on that? Or a motion?
I think, well, right now, I believe what's at issue is the concept of this report. And are we adopting this report? Are we sending this report back to staff for further revisions? I think that that's separate and apart from Commissioner Saeed's request of, or is that information part and parcel to whether you would, how you would vote potentially on adopting this report?
No, it would be separate. You're correct.
My recommendation, this is just my recommendation at this point, is just to simply send out an email with those few invoices to the commission, to the entire commission. And if that's information that the commission's interested in seeing, then it can be emailed to them.
And we can do that internally, and there's no action needed for that. That's just a request for general information.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Make the request.
Oh, right now or later?
She said she could.
You don't
do
have to
it.
vote on that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Goronsky, nothing?
No, I've said it.
Vice Chair?
Nothing else other than to thank the Oversight Director for putting together the comprehensive report.
A lot of work.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you very much for the report. And as I've expressed in the past, I'm not a big fan of just more information for more information's sake, because it does, as a taxpayer, cost me money. I would rather have you spending your time doing investigations rather than chasing down budget items or things like that. So the more we can have our city staff do, I'm all for it. I think you should confine yourself to investigations and legal matters, not administrative issues. That's my comment on that. And with that, we need to.
Chair Carpenter, can I make a motion? Can I make a motion to send this back to city staff to give enough time to Assistant City Attorney to look into the legal question of rounding, desegregating the data more, and then just have it come back at the next meeting?
Yes.
That's my motion. Hopefully that makes sense.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Secretary?
Motion by Commissioner Perea, seconded by Vice Chair Castillo-Lawton to send back the report for further legal questions. Commissioner Goronsky?
Yes.
Commissioner Perea?
Yes.
Commissioner Said?
Yes, thank you.
Vice Chair Castillo-Lawton?
Yes.
Chair Carpenter?
No.
The vote is 4 ayes, 1 nay. Motion carries.
I believe we need to vote on sending this report, or approving this report at this time.
That vote just occurred, Chair. And
Oh,
the
okay.
vote- The
Thank
vote
you.
was,
I thought that was in the, we voted on the Commissioner Pereira's request.
Oh, we're just going to discuss it right now.
I'm sorry?
I think we need to discuss it still.
Oh, okay.
We just voted. We just voted.
Oh, no, I think Chair Carpenter is relating to the commissioner request item that I had from, that is coming up in the next agenda.
No, it was my misunderstanding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was about the report. And I voted no for the additional information.
All cleared up?
I think so.
Okay, so the vote was, the motion was to send the report back to staff for potential legal analysis, or I should say for legal analysis and potential revision.
Correct.
The inverse of the yes, the no would be to adopt the report,
Correct.
right? And you voted not to adopt, or to adopt the report.
Correct.
By voting no, and that didn't pass.
Correct. All righty. All right, now that's cleared up. Next on the agenda is the business calendar. Item number 5 pertains to the request for comprehensive report on Santa Ana Police Department lawsuit settlements, litigation costs, and legal expenditures. May we have a staff report?
So thank you so much, Commissioners. Commissioner Perea at the last meeting proposed this item, and in order for us to have a full, comprehensive, robust discussion, we placed it on the agenda. If you are interested in the request for settlements, litigation costs, and legal expenditures from 2010 to 2026, then that's an action that you can take today. Or if you want to discuss and place any parameters on this item, that is something that you can also vote on. I think there was a little bit of discussion, but we held off the major discussion for today, in which there was discussion to maybe limit the time frame. So we just want to open this up to your discussion.
Thank you. All righty, we'll start with Commissioner Pereira.
Thank you, Chair Carpenter. And I wanted to ask, this is something that can totally be done by city staff, right? Not Director Morse?
That's correct.
Yeah, so there will be no additional cost to that. And I think this is actually now, this is coming at a timely matter now that we're discussing budget and ensuring that we have a scope in terms of this issue that I'm bringing forward. I do want to see a report from 2020 to 2026, lawsuit settlement cost, that includes litigation costs and in-house related legal expenditures. And yeah, that's essentially my comments as last time.
You said 2020 to 2026, that was your time frame?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Syed?
Just to be clear, so in-house would handle this, correct?
Yes, that's correct. And there is an overall budget for police oversight items. And again, when we look at budget, I know a lot of the time we're looking at Director Morse's contract. That's not the total budget that we have allocated for this commission. So there are items that we can take on that don't impact the contract with Mr. Morse. And also we can use the current budget that we do have.
Excellent. The timeframe that we just talked about, 2020 to 2026, I'm okay with. This says 2010 to 2026, so I'm okay with the last 6 years, but the last 16 years to me is too far back just because times have certainly changed.
Could we do 2018 perhaps? The only reason is because I'm concerned about the pandemic years. Those are irregular years, 2020 to 2022. So I think giving us a little more room.
I should just, I guess, kind of qualify all of this, that it's really subject to the data that we can pull up, right? So you could make your request go back to 1999. It's irrelevant if I can't get the data. So obviously with time, the passage of time, there's going to be data points that are simply missing. That's normal. I am more confident that going back to 2020 would give you a much clearer picture in terms of the data points that you're looking for, Commissioner. I don't know that 2018 would be any different. It might, but I just have to kind of throw that out there so that everybody understands. Further we go back, the more, I don't want to say misleading, but the more inaccurate the data may become.
When did we start wearing body-worn cameras?
I believe it was around, we started exploring it in 2016.
Oh.
I want to say we rolled them out in 2017, and I'm going to say ish, somewhere around 2017, 2018 maybe.
Okay. The 2018 or 2020, subject to whatever is available, doesn't make a difference to me. The question I have is, so lawsuit settlements, I'm okay with. Litigation costs, I'm okay with. What other costs, like specifically, are we looking for?
Yeah, that, so lawsuit settlements, litigation costs, and then sometimes, not sure, there might have been legal counsel that have been hired from the outside, but also the attorney time from the in-house. And then the other list that I have here is more relating to the underlying year incident occurred, because it may vary when a case was settled. It's different from when the year that the incident happened. So it's more like details that I think that might come up.
The only thing I would question, I guess, staff on is, from my experience, in-house doesn't bill or track time typically. So I don't know that that cost is, or time can even be captured in any way in-house.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Commissioner. I was planning to address that kind of after the conversation had been had. That line item on my end would be pure speculation. I could not even provide an educated guess in terms of what attorneys or paralegals, the amount of time they spent on a case back in 2020. It would just be an absolute shot in the dark. So my recommendation is that that particular line item should not be included, because would not be comfortable even providing a number there. Because as Commissioner Saeed mentions, we do not keep track of our time. We don't have billing records because we're in-house, and so there's just no way to know.
Other than that, I don't have any more questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Gronski.
Well, that's interesting what you just said, that you don't keep
Microphone,
track-
please.
Pardon me?
Microphone, please.
It is.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You stated that you don't keep track of the time that you spend on a specific item. Is that it? It just becomes part of your daily routine, or your daily pay, or your daily job?
Sure, I'm not required to bill. I spent enough time in the private sector billing, and I needed to flee from that because it was going to ruin my mental health. So I sought out an in-house counsel job where I'm not required to bill because there's no client to bill.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. That's all I have to say, I guess, really.
Thank you. Vice Chair?
Yeah, I have a few comments on this, and I just echo what Commissioner Syed said, which is, one, I'm concerned, well, I guess concerned isn't the right word, but I guess the question that I have is, how closely can we even comply with some of these items? Because are these expenses even tracked? And it sounds like for some of these, they're not, costs associated with cases handled by the city attorney's office or other in-house staff. The other question that I have on that is, costs associated with cases could mean billing staff, it could be HR, it could be IT people. And so one clarification that I have is, what exactly does associated mean? Mean just legal attorney fees, and in which case it doesn't sound like that's even tracked in the first place. So that's one concern that I have. The other question that I have is just, what do we ultimately hope to gain from this information? Because it's going to be a lot of work to compile some of the stuff on this list. And I know we have the budget, but we should also be mindful of staff time and how they allocate their resources and things like that. So I'm just hoping that you could address what the impact would be from having something like this put together.
Yes, thank you. I'm happy, and I'm happy also to strike out the specific requests around city staff in-house, so that way it can be more plain and simple. The second one is, I think it's very helpful for us to know the cost of lawsuits, settlements in general for the public. I think that that's something that I believe the Police Oversight Commission should keep a track of and inform the public on. And think have spoken a lot about fiscal responsibility and budgets and all that, and I think part of that is it does include providing that to the public around the cost of lawsuit settlements relating to the police department.
Those are all my questions.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you for clarifying.
A quick question, do we being the city, use outside legal vendors or advice for any of these type of issues?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so those are trackable costs then, or no?
I'll let
Yes,
City Attorney
yes, they
answer
are.
that.
We do use outside counsel for various things, both transactional and litigation related. It is trackable. One of the best sources, though, I think, for the data that Commissioner Perea is looking for is going to be from our third-party administrator. It's a company by the name of AdminSure. That would be my first stop. It would actually be DJ's first stop in terms of kind of collating a lot of the data that we're looking for. So again, I think that the better practice may be to simply keep the list. If this is voted on and if this is voted as a yes, we simply keep the list as is. We'll leave it in, hopefully in the discretion of my office to go through that list, collect what we can. If we can't or it's impossible, we'll simply make a notation of that in the report, but do our best to comply with what's being asked for. And if it's simply an impossibility, we'll indicate as much.
Okay, can you explain me the difference between litigation costs and legal expenditures? Are they synonymous?
No, maybe not. I mean, a litigation cost would be a hard cost, like a filing fee, right? To file a complaint in Superior Court, that's a litigation cost. To have a court reporter is a litigation cost. I mean, there's more that I can think of. That's a litigation cost. It's directly tied to litigation. A legal expenditure, on the other hand, could be buying legal pads for the office. I mean, it could be fixing the copier in the city attorney's office. That could be a legal expenditure.
Okay, let me ask you then, in the lawsuit settlement, is all those costs bundled in there, the litigation costs, the legal expenditures, all those type of things?
Can you direct me to where you're looking? I'm sorry.
If you look at on the agenda, it says Police Department lawsuit settlements, litigation costs, and legal expenditures.
Oh,
The settlement, does that include the litigation costs and legal expenditures?
not necessarily.
Okay.
So if we incurred those costs I was telling you about, court reporters, transcript costs, filing fees, right? We're incurring those costs along the way. Then, 3 days before trial, we ultimately settle with the plaintiff for $250,000. That's separate and apart from the costs that we've incurred along the way.
Okay, well, that would make sense to me then, to see the lawsuit settlement cost and then just the bulk number for the other part. That would make sense, because that gives us an idea of what it's really costing us, citizens, to handle these litigations.
And just to point out that question right there was the combined annual cost of taxpayers of police-related settlements, judgments, outside counsel, and in-house legal representation. The information that you will get from that will likely not be the true cost, because like City Attorney was saying, we can't tally all of our internal expense of all the administration that it actually takes on our end.
Understood. But you do have any outside legal advice you received, any of your filing fees and all those type of things, court reporters, depositions, those type of things would be a cost you could actually associate with a particular lawsuit, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that would
If the
give.
records exist, and if the records are locatable, and they exist.
Understood,
right.
understood. So that would give us a total cost for the settlement, correct? I mean, is that a fair assessment?
Would give you a total cost of the litigation globally.
Well, and you're going to add that on to the settlement cost. I mean, as a taxpayer, I would say that's all part of that settlement, because it costs the city $100,000 to defend or pay out that $250,000. So the total cost is $350,000 with all the internal trackable costs that you can come up with, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
My issue, though, why I'm trying to, I guess, separate the two is that the term settlement it's a term of art. So it's referencing what it is that we are paying to a
Understood.
plaintiff versus those other costs. So it's the global cost of a litigated matter includes the settlement, but it also includes a lot of other things, including outside counsel time, in-house counsel time, the cost of the court reporters, the transcript. So it's not just the settlement cost that's going to give you a picture of what that litigation cost.
No, I understand that, and given you said clearly that you can't track internal costs, your time, anybody else's time, but you can track the litigation costs for external vendors, depositions, all those kind of things, which all go towards, that's the cost of finalizing that settlement, correct? To bring the settlement to conclusion, those costs are all associated with it, excluding the
Yes.
city time that is untrackable.
Yes.
Can I say
So that, my
something?
point is, then that is actually the total cost of the settlement, excluding any city time that is untrackable. It all adds on to that cost of that settlement.
Can I just quickly respond to this? Thank you so much. Sorry to interrupt. I think the reason we should have it separate is because, for example, on behalf of my clients, I've spent $300,000 and I've gotten a defense verdict. So if we can see, is our money being spent correctly to end up with a verdict that we've won, we can separate those and see that, or is it backwards?
No, that's what I'm asking. We can see, my point being, when you say you settled it for $250,000, let's just use that number. The legal expenditures for the city staff, your time in particular, or whoever, is untraceable.
Correct.
But we can get any outside vendor costs, any deposition costs, any court reporter costs, any of those things. So that should be tracked because that is truly part of that settlement cost.
I think the way you're phrasing it, settlement cost, is what's throwing me off.
No, I mean, that's a total, that's
Total cost, I guess.
the total cost to bring that settlement to fruition.
Yes and no, and the only reason I say that is if you're spending all this money and then, as Mr. Martinez pointed out, 3 days before trial you're settling, all that money doesn't mean you're spending it towards settlement. It just means you've resolved the case.
But it's a cost to get to that end result. That's what I'm getting at. I don't care if you.
Call it like an overall litigation cost.
Exactly, that's my point. What did it cost you to get there? That's what I'm saying. I think that's nice to know, to Commissioner Pereira's point. What did that, okay, again, separate, yeah, it cost us $250,000. And then additional costs were X.
Yes.
I think that's good to know because that is the total cost, excluding the unaccountable time for the city employees. So that's all I'm asking for.
Chair, if I could
Yeah.
just clarify, I think some of the confusion here with the attorneys is that costs are like legally defined things in litigation. There are specific things that count as costs, so.
Look at it from a taxpayer's
Yes, I
perspective.
understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that like, that is, I think, what is.
No,
cost.
I get you. I appreciate that. But that's my point. So that's what I have to say about that.
No, and I think just to round that out, I understand what you're saying, Chair. You want to know, how much did it cost to get this one matter to be resolved?
Resolved.
Right? What
Resolution.
did it practically cost? So,
Yeah.
And to the extent that can be tracked back, we will do our best. I will tell you that the easiest number that we're gonna be able to locate is that settlement check. That's gonna be the easiest
agreed.
thing to determine
Agreed.
how much we paid. From there, probably outside counsel, we could probably easily locate that, or
Correct.
it's locatable. But when we start moving further back to court reporter fees, to the cost of, well, expert witnesses would be pretty easy too. Court reporter fees, filing fees, things like that. When we start moving to smaller and smaller figures, that's where we're probably gonna lose some data.
No, I understand and I appreciate that. And in that case, to your point, then you can kind of make an aggregate number for that. In general, this is what it cost. So as a citizen, I know that that $250,000 lawsuit, our settlement for your convenience, in general costs the city with all these other fees 20 grand. I'm just throwing numbers out there.
If the information was more recent than the time frame that we're looking at, we may be able to obtain some of that information, but we do have record retention periods here within the city. We may
Understood.
not.
And that's understood. And again, I would not go back to 2010. I think the 2020 to 2026 is more than adequate.
I
So,
would
yeah.
be a little, I would be a little trepidatious about the notion of, you know, assigning what the costs were to something based on based on the settlement amount. We could settle a claim within a week for $250,000, or we could be
Agreed.
in litigation for 4 years.
Agreed.
And settle it for $250. So I just.
Well,
think
and
that's an
in that
important
case, to your point, then that would be something you would be able to track a little more accurately. Because again, I think the point being is that $250,000 costing us $500,000. As a citizen, I'm concerned about that, right? I mean, anybody that's paying taxes ought to be concerned about that. So I think that's something that is important to see.
If I could just jump in for a moment, what
Sure.
you truly want to look at, from what I've heard, is how much it costs the city so that we can identify patterns and practices of what is creating these costs. So yes, it's important for taxpayers to know how much it costs them, but ultimately the goal, as Commissioner Castillo often noted, what is the intent? What is the ultimate goal? Because I think
Understood.
understanding what the ultimate goal is for this commission will help us ensure that we're getting the data that we need for you.
Well, I think that Commissioner Pereira's point is, what is these litigations, what are they costing? These lawsuit settlements, what is the real cost? And I think that's a legitimate question. I don't think it has anything about pointing fingers to the city or anything else. I think it's just a legitimate question. What is this actually costing the taxpayer?
Can I ask a clarifying question? Are we concerned about cases that the city successfully resolved through like a motion to dismiss or something like that, that was ultimately found to be unmeritorious or whatever? Or are we only looking for situations in which the city settled or they lost a judgment?
I think where they settled and lost the judgment, yeah. And I think to the point, Chair Carpenter, you could consider 2018. I did now remember that. I think the beginning of the use of the body cameras might be an important just year started for us.
Yeah, again, I'm not a big data for data's sake person, so I think the 20 to 26 timeframe is sufficient. It would just, and the Vice Chair's point was it, and I don't know how to phrase this legally, was it the city at fault, or if we're settling, is it because we want to settle to save money, or are we settling because we were at fault?
Can I make one more comment for 30 seconds? I think if we're going to do this, I would actually like to see every lawsuit that was filed, and even if we got it dismissed on a motion to dismiss or an MSJ, I'd like to see that, because then that means we can see how we're weeding out frivolous lawsuits from things that are a pattern that we should be concerned about. And this isn't a criticism towards anything, it's just to see how we can improve the situation we're in.
I would agree then.
I'm sorry?
So I agree then.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I think the whole point in the beginning about the lawsuits is to kind of figure out why we were having so many. If I recall your initial questions on this. So my only concern now is what we're requesting. Does that give us that information? That's my other concern with this. Again, are we just getting information for information's sake, or are we going to get some information that can actually help change policy, to your point, or see a pattern?
I think once we get the data, then we can like look at it and then see what there is.
Yeah, because are the settlements for excessive violence? Are they for crashes? Are they for whatever? to me, that carries more weight than actually the settlement amount. As a taxpayer, the cost is obviously a concern for me, but the type of lawsuits is a greater concern for me, especially, excuse me, as a commissioner, that's a primary concern. So those would be my comments. Primary concern is why the lawsuits, what the causes were. Secondary would be the cost, and thirdly, the timeframe of 2020 to 2026.
And something, if I could chime in real quick, something for the commission to consider in terms of end goal here. The commission may want to consider looking at those types of lawsuits that cost the city the most money, for which could be an indicator of where the commission might want to look in terms of, okay, what policies and practices might we want to look at revising. My guess, this is true for cities across the U.S. There's probably a lot of settlements regarding excessive use of force litigation. So if the data shows, oh, we're having a lot of lawsuits regarding excessive use of force, and maybe you could even break that down, ferret it out by what type of force was used, lethal, less lethal, taser, whatever. That could be an indicator of where the commission might want to focus its efforts in terms of policy review.
And that was my point, is why, what is the basic reason for these lawsuits, right? I mean, that's really what we want to do, especially as a commission. Financial part more as a citizen, but for the commission, why are we getting these? And I think to your point, it's good to break that out into excessive violence, auto crashes, what have you. Thank you. Any further questions, comments?
We have to vote on this, right?
I'm sorry?
There's going to need to be a motion with clear direction to staff in terms of what this commission has decided they want staff to bring back next month, or when feasible.
Chair Carpenter, can I make the motion?
Certainly.
Okay, so I'll make the motion to, I turn off my mic. I'll make the motion to direct city staff to bring us a report regarding lawsuit settlements and litigation costs where it's feasible outside legal counsel and so from 2020 to 2026.
And I would like to make a sub-motion to that we get a breakout of what those lawsuits were.
Wait, did you just want to amend my motion then to, yeah?
Yeah, I thought you were done. My apologies.
No, then I'll amend my motion to include your comments, yeah.
Okay, we don't need a sub-motion. So who wants to spill it all out again?
Kelly, did you get that motion?
Yeah, you made a motion, so the motion has been made, correct? Okay, I'll second it.
Who's making the motion? Chair Carpenter or?
No.
No, Commissioner Prayer. And for clarity, we're going for 2020 to 2026.
Correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Perea, could you repeat that motion?
Yes, a motion is to direct city staff to bring back a report on police lawsuit settlement cost and litigation cost where feasible from 2020 to 2026.
To include a brief description of the subject matter of the lawsuit.
Thank you.
Correct. Thank you.
Good idea.
That's the motion.
I still second it.
Is there a second?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
Is there a second?
I just seconded it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so motion by Commissioner Perea, second by Commissioner Gabronsky to bring a report for the police lawsuit settlements, litigation cost, and related legal expenditures from 2020 to 2026 to include a brief description of the subject matter. Commissioner Gabronsky?
Could I ask something before I say yes? Is that going to be on next month's meeting? Is it going to be discussed again as we have tonight, or is it just for our own information to see what's going on behind the scenes, in between the lines or something? How do we,
I can answer that question.
Okay.
It will most likely not come back next month. There's a lot of files that we are going to have to look through, and there's also a third-party administrator, admin sure that we're going to need to reach out to. We will be subject to the timelines that they give us in terms of providing us the records that we need. So I would venture on the side of 60 to 90 days.
it's 3 months, 2 to 3 months, isn't it?
It could be 3 months, but the reason it could be 3 months is because if we get it done on the day following the second meeting from now, then we would have to go to the third month.
Okay, I still second it.
Commissioner Gronski? Roll call.
What do you want from me now? Wait, pardon me? Yeah, yes, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Perea?
Yes.
Commissioner Said?
Yes, thank you.
Vice Chair Castillo-Lawton?
Yes.
Chair Carpenter?
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 nays, motion carries.
Sorry. All righty, that brings us to the end of the business calendar. Now we'll go to staff comments. Deputy City Manager, do you have any closing comments?
No, just want to wish everyone a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Independent Oversight Director, now that we've hammered on you, do you have any closing comments?
I think it's very exciting that we've closed out a fiscal year. I think that the report reflects a lot of work by this police commission, a lot of successful work. So I look forward to working with you in the next fiscal year.
Thank you. Assistant City Attorney, closing comments?
No closing comments, Chair.
Thank you. Deputy Police Chief, closing comments?
Nothing. Have a great evening.
Thank you. All righty, now we'll move to the commission member comments. Start with Commissioner Pereira.
No comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Said. Commissioner Gronski. Vice Chair.
No further comments.
All righty, that brings it to me. Again, thank you for the report. It was nice to see we actually did get something accomplished. I think that was a good thing. And yeah, everybody have a good and safe evening. And with that, the next Police Oversight Commission meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 10th, 2026 in the council chamber at 5 p.m. I hereby adjourn the meeting at 7:30.